Stop for a moment and breathe. Before you keep scrolling, you must hear this in total silence, because it is no accident that you have arrived here at this very second. The universe makes no mistakes, and the systems, as mechanical as they may seem, often react to energy patterns that your own focus has already sent out. There are moments in life when the heart feels something long before the mind can grasp or explain it with facts. And what you are going through right now is one of those moments. You are here because while your mind keeps asking questions, replaying scenes, wondering if this person is thinking of you, whether something unfinished still remains between you, or whether the link is truly over, something much deeper has already moved. Not on the outside, not in a way you can see, not in a way the logical mind can prove right away, but on a level that comes before words. It was not a talk you could hear. It was not a text that showed up on your phone. It was not even a sign you could point to in the world around you. It was an inner choice, a big one made in silence on the other side of this bond. And today you are hearing this because your soul needs a reason. Your soul needs words for what it already feels, but cannot yet name. For days, weeks, maybe even months now, you have felt something pressing softly but steadily inside your chest. A strange emotional weight, a slight worry without a clear cause, a sense of waiting, not for something specific, but for something important, as if the story stopped in the middle of a sentence and never quite finished. You may wake up in the middle of the night for no clear reason. You may feel a lump in your throat during normal moments. You may feel jumpy even when life seems quiet. This is not weakness. This is not just your imagination. This is not being too needy. There is a silence that weighs more than any spoken word. And when the soul becomes restless in this way, it is not because of drama. It is because it senses movement before the mind catches up. Your inner system has found a change in the frequency of the bond. Just as a sensor finds a presence long before the eyes can see it on the horizon, your soul has noticed something clear. This person is no longer standing where you last left them emotionally. They are no longer stuck in confusion. They are no longer caught between waiting and running away. They are no longer living in that gray area where everything felt possible, yet nothing happened. There was a moment recently, perhaps late at night, perhaps in total solitude, perhaps looking into nothing, when this person could no longer run away from themselves. In that moment, they stopped busy work. They stopped making excuses. They stopped acting neutral. And they chose not from ego, not from being lonely, not from fear of being by themselves, but from something much older and much deeper. A wise thinker once said that until you make the hidden parts of yourself known, they will lead your life, and you will call it fate. What happened recently is that something hidden became impossible to ignore. When two souls are meant to grow through each other, they can fight it for a while. They can build walls. They can go quiet. They can move away physically and emotionally. They can tell the world and even themselves that they do not care. But there is a breaking point, a point where the weight of hiding the truth becomes heavier than the truth itself. That point has already been passed. You feel it because you are joined beyond words, beyond logic, and beyond being near each other. Physical distance does not matter. Time without talking does not matter. What was said or left unsaid does not matter. Hidden bonds are not cut by silence. When a choice is made from the core of a person, the other soul feels it naturally, even without proof. That is why memories of this person pop up without warning. That is why their voice sounds in your mind while you are busy with something else. That is why dreams bring them back so clearly. It feels almost real. This is not an obsession. It is a shared vibration. Many people believe meant-to-be connections are soft, easy, and sweet from the start. But real soul bonds are messy. They break illusions. They pull hidden fears to the surface. They speed up growth. It was once said that one does not become wise by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness known. This person had to face their own darkness away from you. They had to look into themselves without distractions, without masks, and without excuses. They had to decide whether they would keep running from their own truth or finally face it. You may have believed nothing was changing, that they were still stuck in doubt, that everything was frozen in place, but inner choices are silent. And once a choice is made on the level of the soul, the physical world always follows after a short wait. This message is not here to keep you stuck in waiting. It is here to make your gut feeling clear. Because silence does not always mean no. Sometimes it means getting ready. Sometimes it means rebuilding. Sometimes it means gathering courage quietly. Notice what happens in your body as you hear this. Do not think too much, just feel. The body never lies. If you feel calm mixed with excitement, it is a sign of knowing. If tears come, something is being let go. If tension leaves, an old hurt is being touched softly. You are not waiting for someone who is unsure. You are inside a holy process where energies are lining up so that what has already been decided can show up in the right form at the right time. Not always how the ego wants, not always when you are impatient, but always in the way the soul needs. There is another truth you must hear now. What you fight stays with you. What you accept changes. Both of you have been changing apart. This silence you went through was not being left behind. It was an inner cleanup. This person needed space to see if they could live honestly with what they felt. And they did. Now something basic has changed. Pause for a moment and stay with the feeling that has just come up, because now we move deeper into the makeup of the silence itself. The silence that mixed you up. The silence that hurt you. The silence that made you doubt your worth, your gut, and sometimes even your mind. In a world that wants everything right now, silence is almost always read the wrong way. We are taught over and over that interest means action, that love means being seen, and that caring means constant talking. So when silence appears, the mind rushes to fill the empty space with stories. Stories of being rejected, stories of being replaced, stories of endings that were never clearly said, but deeply feared. Yet in bonds that are not shallow, silence is rarely empty. It is heavy. It is busy. It is often hard to deal with exactly because so much is happening under the surface. This person did not pull away for no reason. This was not a quick disappearance or a lazy fading away. What you felt as them being gone was the visible part of a hidden inner war. A long fight between what their heart had already seen and what their trained mind still fought against. For a long time they tried to think their way out of feeling what they felt for you. They looked for logic that could beat their feelings. They told themselves stories that sounded smart and grown up. Stories about bad timing, stories about life events, stories about not being a good match, and stories about why stepping back was the right thing to do. But logic is a weak tool against the truth. They filled their days with work, noise, and other things. They told themselves they were moving on. They tried to find what they felt with you in other people, hoping that doing it again would make it less special. But every try ended the same way, with a quiet feeling of being unhappy that they could not name. Because what was unfinished with you was not about the situation, it was about who they are. There was a door that would not close, and every try to lock it only made the pressure behind it stronger. What finally forced the choice was not just wanting you, but being tired. The exhaustion of living a lie. The exhaustion of acting neutral while the soul screamed for the truth. The exhaustion of holding back something that needed to be said. It has been said that the greatest weight a person can carry is their own unlived truth. This person began to feel the weight of their own lies in small but steady ways, a loss of inner peace, a dull heaviness that followed them, even during times that were supposed to be fun, and a sense that life felt gray, and slowly, painfully, the realization formed. The pain was not caused by being away from you. It was caused by being away from themselves. During this time, it is very likely that you looked inward as well, that you questioned yourself all the time. You replayed talks. You wondered if you were too much, too open, or perhaps not enough. Hear this clearly now and let it sink into your system. Your love did not create the trouble. Your presence did not break the bond. What happened was that your presence broke the fake world they had built to survive. Some souls learn to get by hiding their feelings. They become experts at control and acting tough. They build lives that look strong on the outside but are weak within. And when something real enters their life, something that gets past their walls, it feels scary rather than nice. This is where deeper study gives us clarity. We often talk about the shadow not as something evil, but as everything we have pushed away in ourselves to stay safe or liked. Fear, being open longing, and the wish to be fully seen are often thrown into the shadow. Before you, this person had organized their life in a way that kept those parts hidden. They had systems, habits, masks, and rules. But when you entered their world, something new happened. You showed them who they were too clearly. Your openness showed their running away. Your emotional bravery showed their fear. Your ability to feel deeply lit up what they had buried, and the mind reacts by defending itself. Light, when shown too fast in the dark, feels like a threat. The first reaction is not being thankful, it is hiding. So they stepped back, they closed off. They went quiet, not because you lacked something, but because you showed too much. People will do anything, no matter how silly, to avoid facing their own souls. Distance became that silly plan. Yet, distance did not fix the fight. It made it stronger because once something true is seen, it cannot be unseen. In your absence, they could no longer blame you for how they felt. When you were gone and the bad feeling stayed, a painful truth came out. The problem was not you. The problem was them running away. This realization is the turning point. Being apart, as mean as it feels, often serves as the only place where real personal growth can happen. Had they stayed while still being broken inside, the bond would have turned into confusion and harm. Distance created a space where growth could happen without fighting. While they faced their dark side, you were changing too. You learned to live with not knowing. You learned to calm yourself rather than chase them. You learned that your worth does not change based on someone else's mood. This growth for both of you was not an accident. There are bonds that come into our lives not to make us feel good right away, but to change us from the ground up. They break us open so we can rebuild ourselves more honestly, and now the inner fight on the other side has been settled. The energy once used to hide, deny, and run has been let loose. An energy once freed always looks for a way out. It moves. This is why your inner feelings have begun to change, why the pain feels different, why the waiting feels quieter. Why? Something in you has softened, not because you gave up, but because you stopped fighting it. Stay with this, quiet, because now we enter the time where the hidden becomes felt, where what was decided in silence begins to move outward and touch your life. This is the stage that mixes up most people because nothing has happened yet in the outside world. And yet, everything feels different inside you. Once the fighting inside stops, energy changes direction. For a long time, this person's emotional energy was used to run, to hide feelings, and to keep control. That took a lot of work. Hiding things is never easy. It is constant stress. And when that stress goes away, the energy does not vanish. It moves. It begins to look. And because this bond exists beyond physical space, the first place this energy lands is not your phone or your email, it lands in your body. This is why you may have noticed sudden waves of feelings that do not seem to fit, moments where sadness comes up for no reason, or a sharp wanting that appears while you are calm, or even sudden warmth and peace that brings tears to your eyes. These are not just mood swings, they are messages. When the ego lets go of control, emotional walls become thin. What you are feeling is a shared vibration. Your body is reacting to feelings that do not just come from you. This is not a fairy tale. It is a known fact among people with deep bonds. In each of us, there is another part we do not know. And sometimes that unknown part speaks through feelings rather than thoughts. Your sudden heavy feeling may be their sadness coming out. Your worry may be their fear that it has been too long. Your warmth may be their relief at finally choosing the truth. You feel it because the wall that once blocked the message has fallen. This is why your sleep has likely changed. You may wake up suddenly in the early morning. Your mind may not think of them right away, but your body knows. There is a sense of them being there, a small alert, a feeling that something is happening nearby. In many ways of thinking, sleep is where we let go of control and the hidden mind speaks freely. When one person begins dealing with big feelings at this level, the other person often feels it. Dreams become very clear. Seeing them feels real. Talks continue where they stopped in real life. You may wake up with feelings that stay much longer than normal dreams. These are not just fantasies born from wanting. They are the mind's way of joining a shared emotional reality. As the fighting stops on the other side, their hidden mind reaches out, and now meaningful coincidences enter the picture. These are meaningful moments that seem like accidents, but are deeply important. These moments happen much more when inner choices line up with destiny. When the mind commits, the world changes. You see their name everywhere. Songs play at the perfect time. Numbers repeat. Random things bring back memories. These are not signs meant to make you obsessed. They are signs of things lining up. Reality is fixing itself around a new inner truth. Your job now is not to guess what every symbol means, but to stay calm and open, because here is the secret. The less you chase the meaning, the clearer it becomes. You may also notice an emotional tiredness that feels peaceful, a sense that you no longer have the energy to force things to happen. This is not giving up. It is finishing a task. Your soul has done its work. You sent the signal. You stayed through the doubt. You grew. This tiredness is not being worn out. It is everything coming together. It is your system stopping the constant watch. It is trust taking the place of control. And this is very important because bonds this big cannot work well while one side is clinging or waiting for things to go wrong. Letting go is not the same as not caring. It is being ready. Now understand this clearly. An inner choice does not always turn into an immediate action in the world, especially for someone who has lived in fear. Courage often grows slowly. Life must be fixed, old habits closed, and inner permission made strong. But the doubt is gone. That is the shift. There is a huge difference between saying I feel something but I am scared and saying I accept what I feel and will find a way to live with it. Once acceptance happens, movement must follow like a river going toward the sea, even if there are rocks in the way. This is why you must not mix up continued silence with them changing their mind. Silence after a choice is totally different from silence born of confusion. One is empty, the other is full. You can feel the difference. Your gut is sharper now and less worried. You are no longer looking for proof. You are sensing things coming together, and that always happens before things show up in real life. Stay with this feeling because now we reach the most delicate part of the whole process. This is the moment where fear no longer runs the bond. Not because fear goes away, but because it loses its power. What changed inside this person was not just being clear, it was becoming whole. Before, their inner world was split. One part was drawn to you, another part fought it. That split caused them to freeze, wanting pulled forward, fear pulled back, and when a mind is torn in two ways, the only relief it knows is pulling away. But pulling away never fixes the split. It only stalls it. The moment of truth came when they stopped fighting themselves. This is the process of becoming who you are, not perfect, not fearless, but one whole person. When a person stops hiding their truth to keep up an act, something happens that cannot be undone. Energy stops leaking. Direction stays steady. The greatest gift in life is to become who you truly are. That is the choice this person made. They stopped asking how to avoid the feeling and started asking how to live with it. That shift changes everything. Fear used to mean danger. Now fear means something is important. Before, love felt like a threat to their control. Now it feels like the way to be whole. This is where the pull changes. In simple terms, this is about two forces. Before, love and fear were pulling apart. Now they are on the same side. Fear no longer stops love. It makes them more aware of what matters. This is why the pull you feel now is different. It is steadier and more grounded. A pull born of fear is messy. A pull born of being whole is bound to happen. You may feel this as a small shift in how things feel. A feeling that something is turning toward you without force or drama. And here is what you must understand. Once a hidden truth is accepted, it does not lose its power. This person has seen themselves clearly. They have faced their habits of running away and hiding, and having seen them, they can no longer do them without thinking. This does not mean they are perfect. It means they are responsible. They now know that running away costs more than staying. That silence hurts more than being honest. That lying takes more energy than being open. This knowledge holds their behavior steady even when action is slow. That is why this time feels like it is on hold, not stuck, but like a breath held before moving. And this is where many people mess up. They think the pause means they were rejected, and they rush to fill it with doubt or quick choices to get control back. But the pause exists to make sure things are lined up to allow the truth to grow roots deep enough to last. Your task now is not to pull. It is not to push. It is not to test. Your task is to stay in your own center. Because when two people are both whole, a bond does not need force. It happens on its own. Notice how you no longer feel that same desperation or the need to study every detail. That edge has gone away, and that softness is not losing interest. It is trusting yourself. You are no longer trying to prove to yourself that the bond was real. You know it was. And knowing that changes how you carry yourself. Your energy is now open rather than searching, calm rather than on guard. This makes it safe for them to come closer. For someone who once ran from big feelings, safety is key. Safety does not mean knowing what will happen. It means being allowed to feel. They now feel they have permission to feel, to come near, and to choose without losing who they are. And that permission exists because you no longer need them to choose you in order for you to be okay. This is the irony of deep bonds. They only work well once both people are no longer trying to get their identity from the relationship. You have become steady in yourself. They have become honest with themselves. That is being lined up. From here, it is no longer a question of if, but how the world will fix itself. Talks will happen, paths will cross, things will work out in small ways that feel like accidents but are not. And when talking starts again because energy wants to move, it will not feel like starting over. It will feel like a continuation because nothing was lost. It was just reorganized. Stay here with this openness because now we move into the final part. The place where understanding turns into being and being turns into real life. This is not about waiting anymore. It is about putting yourself in a spot where what is already moving can arrive clearly. At this stage, the most important change is small but huge. You are no longer looking for what is missing. You are looking at how things are lined up. And that does not feel like waiting. It feels like being here now. This is where many people get wrong what it means to let go. Letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean getting rid of what you want. It does not mean acting like the bond never mattered. Real letting go means giving up the need to control how and when the truth shows up. It means trusting that what has started from a real place does not need you to watch it every second. Your body already knows this. That is why you feel different now than you did before. The sharp pain has softened. The rush has gone away. What stays is clarity. Clarity does not yell. It does not beg. It does not chase. It just is. This is the energy that allows a reunion to happen without repeating old hurts. Because what broke the balance before was not love. It was being uneven. One person feeling too much while the other fought it. That is gone now. You are no longer falling apart when it is quiet. You are no longer leaving yourself behind in the space between messages. You are back in your own life, busy and steady. And in a strange way, this is what makes it possible for them to come back. When someone has just stopped fighting themselves, the last thing they can handle is pressure. What they want now is a space where the truth can land without stress. You provide that space just by being you. You may notice that your thoughts about this person are no longer frantic. They come and go more naturally, sometimes with warmth, sometimes with quiet interest rather than pain. This is being whole. You are no longer defined by what happens. You are defined by being true to yourself. You are no longer choosing between hope and being attached. You are holding both. Now let us speak honestly about what happens next without fairy tales or fear. When an inner truth wants to come out, it does so in the easiest way. That might be a text, it might be a chance meeting, it might be a talk that feels very natural, as if it has been going on under the surface the whole time. But it will not come with chaos. It will come with a strange sense of being normal. That is how you know it is real. No big speeches, just being sincere. And that sincerity may feel very quiet compared to the drama of before. This can be confusing if you expect big signs. But deep things do not always make a lot of noise. If and when talking starts again, notice how different it feels. The tone will be steady and less defensive. There will be a sense that they own their words. They will say I in a way they didn't before. Not excuses, but being present. And here is the most important part. You are not responsible for carrying this bond anymore. You no longer need to study signs all day. You no longer need to wait for someone else to make up their mind. You are whole as you are. If the bond moves forward, it will do so because both sides can now meet as whole people. And if it does not look like what you thought, you will still be okay because what this gave you was much better than just a person. It gave you back yourself.